Welcome to another episode of the Writer's Game podcast, where we help you magnify your voice and monetize your message. I'm your host, Kyle King, 7-time published author, CEO, and founder of the Writer's Game. I have a question for you this morning as we're just reflecting on our week, reflecting on our journey, reflecting on our business. Do you want to create memorable, life-changing experiences for your customer? Do you want to be able to create an experience where it's customized to their needs and it leaves them feeling like they want to repeat that situation, that event, those moments over and over again for the rest of their life? If that sounds like you and you don't know how to do it, then Jeff is here to talk to us about how to create memorable customer experiences. Through his business and his track record, he's been able to do some absolutely amazing things. And in his transition to Charlotte, North Carolina, he's been able to expand his business in a way that is truly inspirational. Jeff, how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic, man. How are you?
I am fantastic. It's always interesting when I'm introducing someone and they're looking back like, oh, that does sound like me.
I was enjoying it. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I know. No one's ever cut me off through the bio time, so it's all good. So, Jeff, I'd love to just have you introduce yourself, and then how are you leveraging your skills, your story, and the things that you've been doing to really be able to change people's lives.
Okay, cool. I'm Jeff Taylor. I own a company called Soulful Sounds. We're a mobile entertainment business providing DJs, MCs, lighting, photo booths, special effects, pretty much all kind of things to make your event fun and exciting. I've been doing this since my whole adult life. I did my first event in high school. I've been loving music and loving DJing since then, and I've been able to uh, do what I love and create income full time, basically. And it's kind of like being a professional basketball player. That's what I talk about. You know, playing a kid's game and still doing it in your adult life. It's just out here having fun, making people laugh and enjoying themselves. I love doing it.
That's a great perspective in regards to, like, it's like a basketball player, doing a child's game but still doing it in your adult life. I love that perspective. I'm interested because I absolutely love talking to people in the creative industry. I feel like if I had different parents, I would have probably been a screenwriter or a DJ because I absolutely love music so much.
Okay.
Fun fact about me, like, I make playlists in my phone, in my Apple Music. So I have different playlists for different things because I love just seeing the sounds and how music just comes together. So I'd be interested to know, when did you first fall in love with music and how were you really exposed to it to do it as a profession?
So you bring about your parents. So music was always on in my house. So
Oh,
when my mother woke me up to go to school, when I'm talking 8, 10 years old, there was music on. You know, if I had to walk to the bus before I left the kitchen, there was a song on, and there's certain songs that take me back to my childhood. So music has been part of my life all the time. Riding in the car with my dad, going on trips. There's always music. And then through high school, when hip hop started taking off and DJing started taking off, my house was the kind of house that everybody came to hang out. You know, every kid has that friend that everybody goes to, and that's what my house was. We didn't have, Xboxes and all that stuff. It was
right.
just music. So my house, we had a stereo, so you listen to music, and I started buying turntables and records and just creating this DJing. And then some of my friends who couldn't DJ would MC. And then we had a crew, and this is what we did, and going around doing party to party to party until eventually it just became something that it wasn't just a hobby or fun. It became a business,
Mhm.
that you can actually charge people to do this thing. It was surprising to me, tell you the truth, because I just did it because I loved it.
No, I love that. I love that you brought up, some of your friends that couldn't DJ, they MC'd. And MC, just, for definition purposes, it's the masters of ceremony, correct?
Right, the master of the ceremony, but it was the rapper back then. So
Mhm.
the MC was the one who would actually write down rhymes and rap over beats. So when I started, it was back, with Run DMC and stuff like that when hip hop started taking off. So you had to have somebody to play these records, but then you had to have somebody to rap.
Exactly.
So there was a couple of us that DJ'd and then a couple of us that rapped, and we would go to parties and do that kind of performance. But then once they finished rapping whatever made up song they had, the people want to dance, and that's when I came in.
I love that because and I think that a lot of people don't really understand the power of music, right?
Mm,
They don't understand the power of this master of the ceremony, the person that's rapping to be able to create an experience, the person that's producing the music to be able to create an energy and a feeling. And I think if companies and if people created this same feeling, then it would increase retention. It would help with recruiting. It would help with the overall culture. And it would create something that people could really learn from and look forward to on a daily basis. What is your number one skill or number one strategy to creating a customized experience in working with people?
that's a great question. What we do is we sit down with the client. So you said that some companies don't realize that, and I started doing that this past year, where I've been doing more corporate events for that reason, where someone was at an event that I did and they had so much fun, even though they were there to learn, and they
Mm,
said, "Hey, I want that at my event." I want that at my event. And that's what started to happen and just started snowballing from there. So when I sit down with someone, like let's say from a corporate side, so I sit down with you, you're going to have a training session. You're going to teach some writers to write books and things. And I
mhm,
want to know, what is the theme? What is your goal? What do you want them to leave with? And then I look through songs to see what we can do. What's going to be your opening song? What's going to be your closing song? And then we build around that and create energy in between breaks, in between speakers. Before the speaker goes up, I want them to have songs that they can walk up to. I want to talk to a few of the speakers and say, hey, if the crowd gets into it, let the music go for a little while. Let them enjoy it, because what it does, especially from a training session, when you sit down 30, 40 minutes listening to a speaker, you get energized by the speaker. But
mm,
then after, you kind of settle down, and then the next one goes and you can get energized by the speaker. But at certain times when they're just given information, your brain goes numb.
mm.
And the 5 minute break of you walking around doesn't change that. But if I can play some music and get you up to stand and dance, or do some funny stuff, or just talking on a microphone and have your mind just kind of change it up a little bit, it makes you more receptive to receiving what you're learning. Kind of like when you're working out, if you keep doing the same exercise, your muscle gets tired. So they
Exactly.
have you doing different exercises to catch the muscle from different places to actually shock the body to respond. And that's what we do with music.
That's good. I love how you said shock the body. Because I feel like once the body is shocked, it allows the mind to receive the message or the information that people are there to actually receive. I could never, it's like I could never watch a movie without any music. It would just like
Oh,
the whole, like you live for the music. The music creates the script in a sense. So it's really interesting. I couldn't imagine a movie, an event, just life without
dude,
music.
scores and movies are a big deal. There's a lot of R&B and hip hop producers that have moved over towards that.
Interesting.
A good friend of mine has done the same thing, because you don't realize how much it creates. If you ever get, I have some friends in the movie industry, and I used to get some copies before it was finished. And I remember watching a movie one time. I had to turn it off because, like you, it's like it made no sense to me.
Wow.
Like there was no music at all. So the car ride that they're on, you're just watching someone in a car.
Yes. Yeah.
It was even fight scenes. It was just a fight scene without it being having all the emphasis behind it or the punch sounds and all that. It was like, what am I doing?
It's interesting because it's like scary movies. They
Oh
wouldn't be
yeah,
as scary without the
not.
music. It's the music. It's the
There's no buildup.
yeah, that's wild. Jeff, I'm interested to, just hear your life now. You were this young kid in school that was so involved with music growing up. You transition all of these different things. So I'd love to know, like, from there to now, what were the three moments or the three experiences that got you from where you were as this young man to the place that you're at now with running, this production company as well.
So with me, having this music and loving to do it was one thing. The other thing was trying to make sure I can make a life for myself.
Of course.
So coming out of school and going to college, and I still wanted to have a secure career. So I actually pursued that. So I was in communications for years, and doing installs of phone systems and training, and got into management and all that. But the whole time I've always had this passion for music. So
Mm.
I would always DJ on the weekends. Every event that I did, I would try to make it the best. I would always I would tell people, I'll fight you to make your event hot. I want it to go so perfect because I want to get more business from it. I want to keep doing it.
Exactly.
Even today, years and years later, most of the business comes from word of mouth. Regardless of all the advertising we do, it's always word of mouth for someone that was at an event we did. So as I got older and got married, and even when I was dating my wife, she knew I worked off of a calendar because I was going to be going a lot of weekends and traveling and doing this. And I just kept letting it grow and grow. And then it got to a point where I have to decide if I'm going to really do this full time or
Mhm.
if I'm going to keep trying to get this career going. So I kept I would keep moving my job to less responsibility. I would make less money at my job. I've been a secure, calculated person my whole life. So walking away to a full time income was a struggle for me in my head. But I just eventually it was like, why am I going to this place to go to work every day? I just said, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm just going to focus on this. And it just took off. And once I just got rid of the distraction, which was the job, never knew, it just took off.
Mm. You know, I, there's so many ways that I could take this, but I would love to know about the courage that it took for you to actually take the jump from this comfortable position at work to being a full-time entrepreneur, essentially. Because there's so many people that are listening right now or that have watched the replay, and they are sitting on a vision, a dream, a gift, a passion, and their life is being comfortable, but it's being drained because they're not able to do the actual things that they love. What would be your advice to this person, um, that wants to take a leap, but does have a very comfortable salary and understands that passion sometimes doesn't pay the bills immediately? Most times, actually.
Well, you're absolutely right. Passion does not pay the bills. It doesn't. It's like when you go to get married when you're young and they tell you, I love her. And you're like, yeah, that ain't gonna pay the bills, son. You'll need to work this out. You'll need to
For
figure
sure.
out your finances because I'm not going to support you and your wife.
For
So
sure.
so what happened, what I would say to someone is if you were like me and being a numbers person, then put the numbers down. Find
Mm,
out what the number is that makes you comfortable. And it might be stop the Starbucks, stop all these other expenses, and figure out what it really is that you need to do. Because the happiness and joy that you get out of doing what you love is you can't measure it with a dollar.
mm,
You just can't. When I moved from New York to Charlotte, it was truly the worst financial decision I've ever made in my life. It was the worst.
wow.
Like I had so much things going on in New York, but I had to relocate to Charlotte to support my daughter who's going to grad school. And I wanted to make sure she had our family there because I didn't want her to quit. And my wife had said, hey, sometimes we got to step out on faith. I'm with the numbers. I'm pen and paper. No, this isn't going to work. She says, we believe you got to trust it. And we did. We just stepped out. And it was hard financially, hard. But when I would go home to visit my mom, she would look at me and go, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. You look so much more relaxed.
Mm,
And I said, what? What are you talking about? She goes, you just look so much more comfortable because moving from New York to Charlotte, the environment was different. I
mhm.
was able to focus on my business better. I wasn't chasing the dollar constantly. So my face showed it, even though the numbers didn't. And I
That's
think the same thing happens when you stop running and chasing the dollar with this comfortable job. We used to call them golden handcuffs.
Yep, yep.
We used to call them golden handcuffs when you keep getting more money and more money and more money. And you're just losing your soul in the same aspect because you're just so focused on that. When you can walk away from it and you'll have a better thing in your life. When I learned this in church one day, and the minister was speaking, and he said, if I'm trying to give you something and you keep your hand closed, I can never give it to you.
Mm,
You have to open your hand, and sometimes we're holding on to something, so we can't let it go.
exactly.
So God can't give you what you really want. Sometimes you just got to let it go.
That's good. That's so good. There's so many things that we ask for and we desire and we pray for, but because the luggage that we're still holding on to, it won't allow us to get onto the flight. I can even think about it. That's why they make you check the bag before you get on the plane, because if you're walking on the plane in the line and you have these huge suitcases trying to walk through the aisles, that's how a lot of people try to operate in their lives.
Yeah.
You have to be able to remove and release before you're able to receive whatever it is that's coming to you next. What would be your advice for, I don't know, an aspiring entrepreneur, somebody that wants to step into the production company or production industry, to really break into the industry and be successful?
So I would say to find someone that you can learn from.
Hmm.
That would be the best advice I would give someone. I've made a lot of mistakes and spent a lot of money on stuff I didn't need to.
Mm.
If I had to do certain things over again, I wish I had someone like that I can go to and say, hey, I want to start this, I want to start that. I have guys that work for me that I did that for. Um, Guys that were coming out of high school and used to just help us move equipment and said, hey, Jeff, I want to start DJing. And I'm like, all right, great, here, take this. And he's one of my DJs now in New York, and I fly him here sometimes to work, and he still remembers when he got out of school, got out of college, and said he wanted to DJ, and I gave him his equipment. He's like, no one's ever did that. He says, and he didn't know me well. I met him in church. He was a drummer in my church, and I said, hey man, you want to get started? Here you go. He goes, and he tells the story like I didn't believe this guy was going to come to my house and bring equipment to me, and then he said, and Jeff just left. And my whole thing is this: I have so much equipment that I paid for it I don't use anymore. I have guys that have done the same thing, because you get something for today, and then all of a sudden it's just a season. Now you move on to something more. You need something bigger, something stronger, something louder, and you don't necessarily go back to sell the old equipment.
Mm.
So you just kind of have it. So if somebody else wants to get started, give it to them. The other thing is people have questions about things, doing this business, especially when you're starting out, you're not just the entertainer, you're also the salesperson.
Mm.
You're also the collector, so you have to play all these roles, and then you have to show up to the party to be the happy guy to entertain people. But I
Exactly.
was just arguing with you because you didn't want to pay me the balance of my money. you know so
Exactly.
you have to have ways of doing all that. And how do you learn? You have to learn from someone else. I don't think all that's going to be in a book. You know what I'm saying? I think you really have to be around it. I have guys now, a couple of women that I'm bringing on, that's just going through the motions and learning things, bringing them out to events, seeing how things work. I had one guy tell me, who wanted to MC, he wanted to host parties. And I said, yeah, no problem. Come on, I'll show you what I do. And at the end of the day, he was like, man, this is incredible. It's like you have to please 150 different people.
Oh, 100%.
He's like, I never thought about it like that. He goes, you have like 30 bosses in here trying to tell you what to do. I says,
Exactly.
yeah, that's part of the business, and you have to manage that.
So, in your experience, what are some of the challenges that you see are unavoidable in business, in your experience, in my industry, it may look a little different, but I'm interested in, some unavoidable challenges that people have to have the courage to get through.
That people are gonna people.
That's fair.
Listen, this is the reality of it, is that we are customer facing.
Mm.
Okay, we can't hide. We can't have a bad day.
Mm.
And that's a challenge you can unavoid. I've done events after a funeral. I've done events after a divorce. I did an event where my future ex-wife bought a date to, and I had to stand there and perform. And the bride was in our church, and she knew what was the situation was, but she said, I invited her a long time ago. I didn't want to uninvite her. I'm like, do what you have to do. It's fine. And my DJ, I was emceeing and hosting. My DJ was like, yo, Jeff, how do you feel? How do you think I feel? What are you talking about?
Wow.
I said, but not only did I perform and literally blew this wedding up, there's video of me grabbing her date and her putting the microphone and getting them to sing on camera. I bring the video camera over because I have to put on a show. It doesn't matter how I feel. It doesn't matter what's going on. I was hired to do a job.
Mm.
And I have to do it, So those are the things that are unavoidable when you're doing a live performance.
That's good. What are some of the daily practices? I hear a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, have this conversation of this toxic productivity where I'm working. And I often believe that the cost is costing you in other places. What is the cost really costing you? The cost of doing 12-hour days is really costing potentially your marriage or the relationship that you have with your children or your mental health and all these different areas. So I guess the question is, how are you building a system that still honors the things that are important to you while still being able to grow a successful company?
First thing I did when I started dating my wife was show her my calendar. As my kids got older, they keep a calendar. They have access to my calendar.
Wow.
And what I do is our family calendars are synced. So we know what all the kids are doing and everybody knows what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And if you ever need my time, put your name on my calendar.
Wow.
Just go right in, click, just put your name there. And that's occupied because from a entrepreneur, and this is my sole source of income, an empty spot on my calendar is potential money for me. So I feel it. I feel it. Even though you told me, Dad, Saturday we got to do this. My wife, babe, Saturday we got to do this. If it's not in my calendar, it doesn't happen. It
Mm.
doesn't exist. So that's the first thing I do is to make sure that time is there. And then I start also thinking that when I have a Saturday off, this is the day I'm going to spend time with my family. This is the day I'm going to go out with my wife because I have this day off and I never have a Saturday off. So if I have one of those days, Saturday or Sunday, hey, let's all get together. I'm not working next week.
Mm.
And I try to do that intentionally because if not, you just put your head down and you just keep working. You just keep working.
When you think of lessons that you've learned a part of this journey of yours, what is one lesson that, in your opinion, took you the longest to learn and you recognize that you had to sacrifice the most?
Mhm. All money's not good money, Kyle.
Yeah.
All money's not good money. Every client isn't for me.
Mm.
It took me a minute to learn it. That is truly my constant prayer when I went full time, that I don't accept business that I don't want because I know I got a bill to pay. That is, it is so draining to
Mm.
accept a client that is going to give you headaches. We used to do so years ago before the internet and everything and social media, I should say. Um, I would just get up and walk out. Hey, sorry, we're not the right company for you. I wish you the best and leave. That's what I would do. I would just close the book and walk out. My presentation is done. We're not connecting. I
Wow.
can't do that anymore because then they get on social media and tear you up. They don't realize what they did that offended you. So what
Exactly.
I do now, then what I started doing was we call it the headache price. So if I can't just walk away, I put a price on it that they're definitely not going to pay
Mm.
because I don't want that business.
Exactly.
Um, Other times is I just tell them, man, that date I'm not available. But the reality is I cannot accept that problem that you're going to be. When I do my events 6 months to a year out, if you and I can't laugh and joke like you and I do when we talk, then I don't want to do business with you.
Mm.
Because if you're stressed now, a year from your wedding date, 6 months from your seminar, you're going to be a problem a week out.
Exactly.
So I don't want that.
What are some of the experiences that you've had though where you've been working with a client and you recognize in the process of working with that client that it wasn't a good fit? How did you continue to show up even though you recognize this wasn't a good environment while still being able to deliver on the promise, knowing that there was so many challenges that you were trying to avoid but were unavoidable?
So that happens. And I say to myself, man, if I'd have knew this is who you were, I would have never taken this job.
Mm.
What I do is I then try to put these stop gaps in place. Like I realize you're really late with payments or you're really late getting information to me. So now I try to be proactive. I try to use wording like, hey, that's great that you guys are, you're going to bring that to me, next week. I'll do what I can to make sure your event goes well.
Mm.
And I go, what do you mean you do what you can? I said, you're not allowing me to have all the information I need to get all my people in place to make sure everything goes perfectly.
That's
So
good.
if you can't do it by this deadline, that's fine. I'm not going to push you. I work for you, but I'll do what I can to make everything go well.
Mm.
Like I have an event coming up on Friday, and they have all this music they want done, but they don't want to give it to me. And I said, I can't guarantee any of this is going to happen because you're past that date by now. So whatever the DJ has access to is what he'll be able to play for you.
That's good. You know,
And they just have to understand it.
it takes a level of courage, um,
Yeah.
to be able to stand up to people that have paid you without this self-limiting belief that you just have to take anything that comes with clients paying you. I think that's something that I've had to learn on my journey, is where just because you're paying me doesn't mean that you own me as a human being and that you can talk to me anyway and expect things at 2 o'clock in the morning and last minute changes. So what systems did you put in place from a contractual standpoint, or processes, and all of these systems? What systems did you put in place to alleviate that?
So for me, it's all about connection. It's been that way from day one. And it's still that way today, whether I'm dealing with a corporate client or if I'm dealing with a bride and a groom, or if I'm doing a retirement or anniversary. It's about the connection.
Mm.
And those are the ones that I don't want to take, that if I can't make a connection to.
That's good.
So even though and working with you and coaching, which I greatly appreciate your time, we're automating things, and I'm liking it. Like even even today, like stuff is popping in my calendar. I'm like, who is this? And oh, right, that's because we automated that. So when they go in, they can just make a date, even though I don't know their name. So it's taking a little while to get used to that. These strange names popping in my calendar that I don't know. But what I've done to kind of eliminate the what I call tire kickers, people aren't really looking, is
Mhm.
I put in certain criterias for them to have my time. So
Okay.
they have to answer certain questions. When are you ready to book? What is your pricing? Like, what is your investment to your event? So if they see a number that scares them, or their time they're not ready to book, they can't move on to the next thing.
That's good.
So they don't get my time. So that's put in there. The other thing is, um, sometimes in our initial contact, I bring about to people to explain to them what our contract really is.
Mm.
Kyle, when you hire a DJ, or you hire us to put a production together, you hire us to show up on time, set up all the equipment, provide you sound, lighting, and music. We're not contracted to entertain. We're not contracted to make you dance. We're not contracted to make sure your people have fun.
That's good.
That's not in a contract. We do that because we want to have everything go well so we can get more business from it, because that's how we sell.
That's good.
So if you keep telling me what to do, you're not allowing me to be the creative person that I am to make sure all your people have fun and enjoy.
Mm.
So how about we just take a step back, and you allow the professionals that you hire to do their job, because you're not in the kitchen with the chef. You don't stand behind the videographer when he's shooting. You're not chasing down your speakers who putting a presentation together.
Mhm.
Why are you giving us such a hard time?
That's true.
And then people, man, Jeff, I never looked at it like that. I'm just so stressed. I'm trying to make sure everything goes well. I understand. That's why you hired us.
Exactly.
Remember you was at so-and-so's party, or remember you saw the video of this? That's how that happened. So just give me the colors you want.
That's good.
Give me the picture you want to see at the end of the night. Let me paint.
Mm. That's it. That's it. And I transfer this over into the colors of the vision, right? The picture is the vision. And when you allow people in your organization to use their gifts, their talents, and their abilities to paint this picture, everyone benefits from that picture.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if you're a meeting planner that's watching this right now, I need you to allow Jeff to help your next event become the Picasso in that area. I need you, if you're a conference director, if you're an entrepreneur that's getting ready to throw a conference, if you are preparing for a wedding, a baby shower, or an event, I need you to allow Jeff's team to be able to create this experience, because I've seen it in real time. And I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like. And I believe that he can be able to help you enhance your experience through your teams, through your conference, through your attendees, through your participants, by understanding the vision and being able to create a system for it to happen. Jeff, I am interested. What is an experience in your life that has really shaped who you are today?
Okay, so you can get all personal. All right, so few things, right? So I have faith, and that comes from my mom. I'm all about family. That comes from the way I was raised. And I'm also a very emotional person because I was surrounded by women most of my life.
Okay.
So background, mom and dad separated and divorced when I was 10.
Mm-hmm.
Then he came back into her life and our life at 16.
Hmm.
So those formative years, he wasn't there, you know? So I had to grow up pretty quick. I have a brother and a sister, but much older than me, 15 and 17 years older than me. So they weren't in the house with me.
Wow.
So it was just me and my mom. My brother was kind of like my Superman, you know, like he was that guy. I have cousins that were more like brothers to me because they're closer in my age.
Mm-hmm.
But growing up, that kind of made me independent,
Mm-hmm.
you know. My mom made sure I had discipline and stuff like that, but that made me independent. Then when my dad came back, my mother remarried him, which is a beautiful love story. But then he died less than a year later. So it was like, whoa. So, okay, that's where the emotions come in. All right. So for me, it's discipline, it's family, and time is important.
Mm.
I value my time so much. I value my family so much. And those things in my life is really shapes how I move. I don't say things that I don't mean. I don't waste my time in places that I don't need to be. When people show me who they are the first time, I believe them. You know, I have guys that I work with that I've known for 20, 30 years. I know them. You know, I have new people coming on that I'm just getting to know. And they're like, man, I want to do this. I want to do that. And I'm like, yeah, great. You know, your want and desires are one thing, but you really haven't shown me what I need to trust you
Exactly.
to do what you need to do. Now I have other people that from day one, it's like, wow, this new lady I just was meeting with, she came out to an event and she walked through the door and told me everything that was wrong, what was going on. I didn't ask her that. She's supposed to come in to help me to help run the photo booth. She just wanted to do that. She's going to be an amazing event planner. She's going to be a problem solver because she just walked in and said, Jeff, when I walked in, I didn't know which way to go. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't even know you were in this room. I thought you were down the hall. She just started laying all these things out. And I go, this is what I need.
Exactly.
That's what I need in the business. She's going to be so much more than what she thinks she's going to be.
Mm.
And it's just natural. So those are the things that I've seen that have helped me become who I am because I've learned at a young age things that my mom did, things that my dad did, and how it affected me growing up.
That's powerful. I appreciate you sharing that. I really do. You know, Jeff, if you had 60 seconds to share a message with the world that everybody would be able to hear and feel, what would be your message to the world?
I would say to truly never give up chasing your dream. No matter if it's from the time when you were 15 years old, wanting to be a DJ, and always thinking about the time that you didn't go out on tour with your friend because you said, no, I need to stay at this job and keep making this money. And find what makes it work for you. When I started, I thought I was going to be that touring DJ to go behind rappers and stuff. I didn't think I'd be in a wedding business or a production company, putting in lighting and doing all these different things. I didn't see that. I have another good friend that started out as a rapper and then started producing music and became a music producer. My son, who went to high school for music, and he thought he was going to be this producer to rappers. That's what he wanted to do. And I kept saying, no, go to engineering, because you'll be in the studio and you'll be able to get around people, and then it'll grow. And he's like, no, Dad, this is what I want to do. And it took him 3 years before he's now an engineer. He still produces music, but he's an engineer because he sees it now.
Yeah.
So don't just because the lane that you really want to do isn't happening, get around what you love and maybe something else will happen.
Exactly.
There's so many great basketball coaches that were horrible playing basketball.
And then some horrible coaches that were great players.
Amazing playing basketball. So just get around it. Stephen A. Smith, he played in college and he had a low average and he hurt himself, but he stayed around and now he makes millions of dollars talking about sports. That wasn't his dream. That wasn't his goal.
Yeah. That's good. Jeff, you are a special individual in how your experiences have shaped your values, and how your experiences that have shaped you have been the motivator and the catalyst to help so many others create experiences as well. And I just appreciate, our connection and the time that you've been able to provide us with through this, podcast. If there was one lesson that you wish you would have learned sooner, what would that be?
One lesson I wish I would have learned sooner. I would say that it goes back to time. That if I were to put more importance on time, as well as investment, I had to learn that just because you're spending money and spending all this time in your business doesn't mean that you're investing or that you're productive. I confused being busy with being productive. So I spent a lot of time running behind things that weren't going to be productive for my business or my personal growth. I've also spent a lot of money on things that weren't good investments. It was just money. So when you get into this business of production, you're in technology. Technology changes quickly. And you start chasing technology. And you want the latest, the newest, the best. It doesn't equate to dollars. So I got to a point where if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. So just because I needed, everyone came out, let's say, with a special lighting, right? So you can do these podcasts and you got to get special light, and the light costs $500, but man, it's amazing. It sets up quick. It sets up that. And you're like, no, I got this $20 light. It works fine.
Yeah.
What do I need all that for? But that's what I was doing. Every time a new piece of equipment came out, every time a new this came out, I bought all these new speakers, and it was like, no. I would have been so much further ahead if I wouldn't have been spending that money and that time not invested and not valuing what I was doing.
That's good. Jeff, where can we find you? How can we support you? And how can we leverage our time, our talent, and our treasure to be able to invest in what you have going on as well?
Well, my website is soulfulsounds.com. Very easy. The name of the company is Soulful Sounds. I'm also on Instagram at soulful.sounds1. You can find us there. And I'm on LinkedIn on the Soulful Sounds, like any of the social medias. I'm on Facebook for those of you still on Facebook. We have a YouTube channel, Soulful Sounds, as well. But just hit us up, and any way we can help, we like. I truly enjoy helping and doing what I do. I actually donate my time at churches, at my church. I've donated my time at certain things. I've done events for people that have a smaller budget than what we would. I'm able to help them out because I believe in what they're trying to do. I've helped a few businesses get off the ground doing that. And that's comforting to me that I can help somebody, because I've had people do that to me. I've had guys who are much further along work for me for much less money just because I need an event covered. And they said, no, Jeff, you're going to be doing what we're doing soon. I want to help you get there. So I always want to pay it forward.
Jeff, this has been an amazing time. If somebody's listening right now, understand that your story starts with you taking the first step. Your story starts with you taking the first step. You need to honor your time. You need to trust that as a part of this process and this journey, the things that you learn as a part of the process are much more important than when you reach the results. But when you're trying to reach for a result, reach for the result that you desire, not the one that society desires for you. Be patient in your pursuit towards purpose, because through the different challenges, the problems, and the adversities that you will face them. It will allow you to advance yourself in a way that will give you the courage, the power, and the precision to be able to empower so many other people, like Jeff has done throughout his career. This is another episode of the Writer's Game podcast, where we help you magnify your voice and monetize your message. And we'll see you guys next episode.